Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Saturday. I hope you're having a lovely day. This is a wedding venue that I've created to replace the national park in Henford-on-Bagley. It didn't spark joy. The park did not spark joy for me at all, and I don't want to talk badly about it because somebody somewhere took time and effort, is minimal effort, but they still took time and effort to create it. And as lovely as that is, it just didn't serve me any purpose at all. So I replaced it with this. Now, it is a wedding venue, and as you can see, it's not a church. I didn't go traditional with this lot, and that was by design. I really just didn't think that that was the move for me to make. So I decided to kind of take this concept that maybe this is a guest house or perhaps a summer house that was part of a larger estate and it has been branched off and sold, and a company that does like event coordination has purchased it, and this is where they host basically. So that's not really a storyline, but kind of. So that's what we're operating under. At least that's our parameters for our story. And I did create a 2-story structure. The second story is not accessible. I wasn't going to use it. It didn't feel necessary to decorate it. But if you want to have access, all you would need to do is place a staircase and decorate it. So that does kind of leave some creativity open for you guys if that's something you want to take advantage of. But like I said, I wasn't going to use it. I basically just needed height for the build to make it look believable. I then create, or am in the process of creating, a maze out front. Now, I'm using air quotes because it's not actually a maze. I mean, kind of, I guess. I guess it is, but like for the purpose of it, or our purposes, it's not. This is mostly for screenshots. So I was just kind of thinking of different storytelling opportunities. This could be where you've come after the ceremony. This is where your photographer's taking photos of you and your spouse. This could be maybe where you get engaged. This could be if you're telling a story and you're taking pictures. This could be a good opportunity for you to showcase that they've picked out the perfect wedding venue. I mean, there's multiple options, and that's just kind of what I wanted to accomplish with that. So the entire front, there are no activities whatsoever. This is purely with that in mind for screenshots. It's not for really anything else. It looks nice. It's not really usable. So it be what it be. But as I'm kind of fleshing this out, I do cut a big chunk of the front yard, as I'm calling it, out just because it took way longer than I thought it was going to take, for one. And for two, it's not really part of the meat and potatoes of the build, if you'll forgive the expression. And so I didn't want to spend the entire video just staring at me placing grass. Basically, it's what it was. Grass and fences and lights. So I did cut some of that out, but I left the important stuff, like the structural stuff is left. I actually show me doing the floor plan because it was quick, it was easy, but you never know. But some people like seeing things like that. So I left some different things in that I would normally cut out, and cut out some things I normally wouldn't cut out, just for the sake of showing the important bits, I guess. I'm a little stumbly today, forgive me, but I'm going through, I'm adding the exterior decorative elements like the chimneys, I'm adding fencing, I'm adding vines, brambles, all this type of stuff. I do add garden beds and stuff like that as well. To be able to do all of this, I had to legitimately create a Pinterest board, and I had to create like a dream wedding Pinterest board, and I've never done that, guys. And I'm not like hating on people that have, and I'm not saying anything about it other than like first of all, I'm single, so this is not something that's on my radar, but I have never seen myself as a wedding person. And so I don't daydream about it. I'm not planning it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I have nothing against the actual ceremony itself. Every issue I have is purely, it stems from two things, okay? I'm clumsy and I'm shy. First of all, it's a lot of pressure. You're in a dress. It's your perfect day. All eyes are on you. You've got a photographer, most likely, or a videographer if you're really fancy, like watching you walk down the aisle and do all of these things. Like, I'm going to fall. It's not a she might fall, it's she's going to fall. When is she gonna fall? And I don't want that moment recorded for like to relive for the rest of my life. So that's that. And then for two, like, I don't know. I'm not anti PDA and I'm not anti affection, but just the idea of having a really intimate moment with my future spouse in front of everyone I know and love and care about, I get nervous just thinking about it. Like, I've just crossed my arms. I'm in the defensive position. It freaks me out. I don't know about that. Now, if I was with somebody who really wanted to have a wedding, I would suck it up. I'm not a brat, but if they don't care and it's up to me, it's not happening. We'll run away. I don't know. We'll do something, but we won't be doing that. So that was a really long way of me saying it's just not something I've ever thought about because I don't foresee it as being an eventuality. But it was actually really fun. It was fun to kind of dream about like what are some things that I would like. Now, it was also under the guise of the world that we're in. Like, I would never be able to get married in England. I don't live there. That would be way too expensive of a place to travel to for a destination wedding. It's outside of my budget. So I had to change it just a little bit. But if I was in England, this would be something that would be absolutely gorgeous. So it's kind of a dream wedding, but also not. If that makes sense. I don't know if it does. Now I'm just like nervous and anxious about bringing that up. So we're going to change the topic. I do a lot of yellow and orange and white flowers. I was initially going to do pink, and I think I actually placed on a purple hydrangea. I think that's what that's called. And it made me want to puke. I did the whole thing and was like, no, this looks like Barbie's dream house. And I had to change it. So I did. But I was trying to go for a more romantic color scheme, and it didn't work out, guys. I'm sorry. It really did not. Now, this is going to be a parking lot, and this is also purely decorative, but I thought that this little detail just kind of made the lot seem a little bit more lively. And I have the space. I think I've already discussed. This is like a 50 by 40 lot. It's huge. And so I have the space for this detail, so why not add it? You know, it's kind of that thought process. So I just threw down some parking spaces, threw down some debug cars, some street lights, that's what I'm calling those. I don't really know what they are, and some landscaping. So this is basically filler. It really is. It's just filler because the lot is so huge. But I think it's necessary filler, especially when telling a story. And I'm just adding some of these little grass details. I guess that's what that is, to give the lot less of a flat effect and more of a dimensional effect, which I've said that in the weirdest way and I apologize, but it's just to kind of make it look like it's not flat to the ground. And then we're doing the floor planning. This comes together super, super fast. So there to the left, you saw there are two rooms. One is for the bride, one is for the groom. That's for them to quote unquote get ready. There's a closet and a powder room. In each one, they are themed. One's blue, one's pink, but it doesn't matter. There's a kitchen to the far right, and the rest of this is just kind of like the reception area. So I placed a pretty neutral wallpaper that was also a little bit fancy. And I placed some curtains, and I tried to choose things that were more neutral. I then place 3 buffet tables. One of them is glass, and I change it to the one with the tablecloth just because it looked a little bit better later. And then I create this. So this is kind of where the gift table is. You know, when you come to a wedding, typically you bring a gift or a gift card or something like that. So I place these. I tried to make them different colors, but because these are for Christmas, they had Christmas themes and it just looked a little odd. I think if I was doing a Christmas wedding, it would be perfect, but we aren't, and it's midsummer, so I kind of had to leave it as the blue and gray theme, which is a little less colorful than I would have liked, but I still don't mind it. It still looks okay. I also add some cards that we got with Seasons. They're the Love Day ones, so they are also themed, but they look a little bit more appropriate because they've got the little hearts on them. I also, if you notice, I used a wall fountain. I never used that item. I think it came with Romantic Garden stuff, and I like it. I'm surprised by how much I like it there, so I wanted to include that as well. And then here we are just sort of decorating the space. I didn't want to go too crazy, but I also didn't want to leave the walls basically empty. And this is where I'm going to swap out that buffet table. I also put the fountains on top of them because I thought it looked a little bit better. But you can remove those or add those if you need the space. But each one has 5 slots for food, so you should have plenty of space. I then add a dance floor here in the center and I put tables around it. This is where I'm imagining the bride and groom will sit along with their party while they eat, have toast, cut the cake, do the first dances and things like that. So that's what I'm picturing for this. This is just, excuse me, I have the hiccups like crazy, but this is just a little side table. I throw up a mirror above it. It's that Seasons mirror that is crazy high. And I actually raise it a little bit above the paneling on it just to kind of give a little something on the wall that wasn't just straight artwork. And then I create this little corner here for musicians. They won't actually sit and play, but I add 2 violins and a guitar with the idea that there are musicians that would sit there. And then we jump into the lighting. Lighting is a big thing on this lot. I'm mostly focused on the exterior, but I do a little bit of something in here as well. I wanted to give the illusion that I was using a ton of string lights, and of course I have to use a ton of string lights in the game. They don't really change the brightness level of the game because it's a video game. But I do add them, and as you can see from what you're seeing, they look a little bit low. I actually raise them on camera so that the tips are meeting the base of the light fixture and they're not just floating, because it did look a little bit weird, but I didn't force you to watch me do that because it took a lot of maneuvering. I then just sort of loosely decorate these little areas. There's a chair, a mirror, a plant, and that's really it, because that's really all you need. But it was simple enough and the wallpaper added enough depth to it that I thought they looked fine just the way they are, but they're basically the same, just different colors. We then jump into the kitchen. As you can see, I got rid of the windows on the back. I'm actually going to add the bar on the back half of this. And I was going for an industrial feel, but I didn't like those counters. They're metal. They're the ones that you get with the culinary career, but they were just not, they weren't doing it for me. So I went with this instead. I wanted this to look like a commercial kitchen, but also comfortable. I didn't want it to be like this hideous, you know, all metal utilitarian kitchen, because that's just not my vibe. And I did use the word hideous, and I apologize if that's your vibe, but it didn't fit the style. I think I do carry the same curtains all the way through because why not? And the kitchen is probably the simplest and fastest kitchen I've ever done. And then we jump here into the backyard. Now this is the part that I was the most excited for. So I add a gazebo for the piano. I throw in a grand piano because why not? And I kind of play around with the placement, what I want it to look like and things like that. But in the end, it pretty much stays the same. So I cut out a lot of the experimentation, and basically I moved it back just a little bit here. I used the romantic garden columns to kind of note where the entrance to the gazebo is. The rest of it is cottage living, and it's super simple. I add string lights all the way around because why not? I also add a debug light fixture, and I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure if it would work, but it did. So I'm quite thrilled with that because it looks like it wouldn't work. It looks like it's an abandoned light fixture, not that one, this one right here, but it does work, like I said. That tree, by the way, is from Outdoor Retreat. It's in the debug menu, and it's my favorite tree. Don't ask me why, I don't know. Maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's the size, I'm not really sure. And then we work on the wedding arch and the aisleway here. So I come back to this like 2 separate times, because I would place items like here. I'm placing what we need along with these little what do you call those, streamers that are kind of defining the aisleway, and then I move on because I'm like, right, I don't know what else to do. And I really didn't. I was like, how do you make this look different? And so I moved over here to the bar, and this is actually, it looks like it's an indoor bar. It's actually not, but I needed to do this to be able to use the features that I wanted to use. So I placed the bar first, and then I placed columns on either side with the frieze. I didn't need to do that to get that to work. I just did that so that I would know exactly what was being covered by the roof and what wasn't. So I wanted the actual like bar section, like the section you sit at, to be exposed, the rest of it inside. So that's what was happening there. I realized that looked a little bit strange. We then move on to the dance section. So I place the DJ booth. I add a dance floor. I decided to go with the more modern one. It just looked nice. I don't know. It kind of fit with the theme. The other one was like the checkered pattern, and then you have the wooden one that's inside, and neither one of them really looked great. But I sort of add some lights and speakers. This is pretty simply decorated. I didn't want to go too crazy with it. I add this pole with these little directional signs because I liked it, but it ended up not fitting in. It looks a little too random, and there wasn't anywhere that I was going to be able to place that it was going to matter. So I ended up getting rid of it, but I really, really liked it. I'm sad. I'm bummed that didn't work out. We jump back over here to the aisleway, and I decided to place some fence pieces from Debug, fence posts from Debug, with these jar lights that we got with Cottage Living that actually go on the wall. And I was going to try to mount flowers here some way. I wasn't sure how I was going to do it exactly. And I thought this was like a happy medium because they look like they have flower pieces on them. Like they look like a Pinterest project, if we're being honest. But they also light up at night. So if you're having a daytime ceremony, it's perfect. If you're having a nighttime ceremony, it's really pretty. So I was pleased with that decision, and I honestly wasn't sure if it was going to work until after it was over. So I'm glad it worked out. And then I'm just adding a few plants. We're not done with the wedding section, like the archway, so pause. But I decided we needed a spot for bar stools, so I went ahead and extended the platform and added those, and then continued with landscaping for like a second, and then realized that behind where you get married is kind of blank. So I placed some tables around the bar first, just to kind of, or not the bar, around the dance floor for bar access, and then I decided to use these wall dividers paired with these vines, and I just kind of alternate heights and sizes and colors between the white and the yellow. And I eventually add some roof piece decorations to the top of the wall divider and the bottom, just to give it a little bit of separation from the actual archway because it's a different wood tone. And it created a backdrop, which is what I needed it for, and it also ended up being really pretty. So I was pleased with that detail as well. So on that note, guys, I'm going to leave you here. As always, feel free to leave a like or a comment down below letting me know what you think. You can also subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. I will be posting the screenshots on Instagram. You can find that information listed down below in the description. I will see you next Wednesday when I post my next video. And in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your weekend. Bye, guys.
The sky is blue, the sun is high. Sitting here on my own, I think of you, you're on my mind, you know. To me that's alright. Green grass on my neighbor's lawn. Maybe I should take a stroll. And to me that's alright. To me, that's alright. I spend my days just dreaming about you. Well, now that's just what I will do. I'm telling you, the sky is blue, the sun is high. I'm sitting here on my own. I think of you, you're on my mind, you know. To me that's alright. Green grass on my neighbor's lawn. Maybe I should take a stroll. And to me that's alright. You know, to me that's alright. To me, that's all.